All right, good morning and welcome. It's Corporate Governance Platform brought to you by the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN. I am Funmi Omoburiwo. Let me quickly remind you that ICSAN is dedicated to enhancing status and practice of corporate governance and administration. On the program this morning, we want to look at roles of the executive directors as managers of corporate business. And our guest this morning is Dr. Olufemi Abayomi, Mosaku-Johnson, ACIS, Registrar and CEO, Association of Corporate Governance Professionals of Nigeria. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Nice to be here.
All right, thank you for joining us on the program this morning.
Yes.
And also right here is Mr. Kayode Ketefe, FCIS, Head of Research, ICSAN. Good morning, Mr. Ketefe.
Good morning, Funmi. Good morning to you, our guests. Good morning to you, all our listeners.
Thank you very much.
All right, let's take this message. We'll be right back.
The world is constantly evolving into a knowledge-based economy where skills and competencies constitute the lifeblood of public and corporate governance. You therefore need to empower yourself to fit into this new world by gaining basic knowledge and improving your skill set in the governance-focused disciplines. That is why every aspiring as well as practicing professional in governance field needs ICSAN.
ICSAN. What is ICSAN?
ICSAN is a leading statutorily established professional body dedicated to enhancing the status and practice of corporate governance and public administration. ICSAN members are trained as chartered secretaries and administrators.
Who are chartered secretaries and administrators?
Chartered secretaries are high-ranking governance professionals with a broad base of skills, unique amongst other professions. They are trained in law, finance, accounting, administration, strategy development, and corporate governance. In today's world, chartered secretaries and administrators discharge a wide range of duties and responsibilities, including functioning as chairmen of companies, executive directors, non-executive directors, company secretaries, risk managers, compliance managers, board evaluators, and corporate governance evaluators.
That is interesting. How then do I become a chartered secretary and administrator?
Good. Go to the Institute's website, www.icsan.org. You can also visit the National Secretariat of ICSAN at Plot 6, Elephant Cement Way, Alausa, Ikeja, Lagos, to get full information on how to become members. ICSAN, the hub of governance professionals.
All right, so corporate governance platform right here. And like I said earlier, we're going to be looking at roles of the executive directors as managers of corporate business. Dr. Mosaku-Johnson.
Yes.
So who are the executive directors?
Executive director is an officer of a corporation, is a staff, and is involved in day-to-day activities of the organization, is so appointed based on his qualification, based on his experience. As a matter of fact, you cannot give what you don't have. It is because executive director knows the rudiments of that business, and that is why he rises from whatever position he was to becoming the executive director of a particular organization. He's also a member of the board, so he plays a dual role. He's a member of the board as well.
Okay, so now what distinguishes the executive directors from the non-executive directors?
The distinct factor basically is the fact that the executive director is an officer of a corporation, and the non-executive director is a member of the board of the organization. Is not resuming in the office, is not working on day-to-day basis, is only coming on the basis of him being the director of that organization. So executive director resumes in the office, works as a staff, and he engages in day-to-day activities of the organization. He may be the head of department, he may be in charge of finance, he may be in charge of HR, he may be in charge of so many other generic areas of the organization, but non-executive director is someone that is so appointed based on his experience to come into the board to offer his knowledge, to offer his experience and expertise, in some cases to lay down his contact for the purpose of developing that organization. Yes.
Now, talking about the Code on Corporate Governance, it's a supervision that executive directors should have a broad understanding of the company's business, in addition to possessing such other qualifications as may be needed for their specific assignments or responsibilities. Now, why would you say this is really important?
Effectively, like I did say, you cannot give what you don't have. If you want to come in as a director in a particular organization, you must have the healthy knowledge of that organization, and you must know what is actually being done in that organization for you to be executive director in that particular organization. And as a matter of fact, you cannot be so appointed in a terrain that is unfamiliar to you. And that is why the code provides that anybody who is going to be so appointed must have healthy knowledge of the rudiments of the operation of the organization. And this is basically to ensure smooth running of the organization, to ensure that that person actually adds to the bottom line. Because as a matter of fact, this is a result-driven world now. Everybody must be bringing results to the table. So you cannot be executive director without bringing any result. You must have your KPI, you must have your target, and you must be bringing something addition to add to the value of the organization.
Another provision of the code quite allows executive directors to take appointments as non-executive directors in other companies. It says when it is not detrimental to their responsibilities. Why do you think this is allowed?
Yes, absolutely. For me, you are right. Because if you are in a place working as executive director, you are receiving your salary in that organization, you are resuming in that organization, and you are working for the progress of that organization. Oh, that is good. But in some cases, you may be needed elsewhere as non-executive director, provided, you can underline that, provided that place that you are appointed, what they are doing is not repugnant to what your organization actually stands for. What you are doing is not inconsistent with the value of your own organization, and you have to check for conflict of interest issue in that particular order. So if you are an executive director, code allows you to be appointed as non-executive director. Incidentally, it was not like that before until 2018, a code of corporate governance. But now that it is allowed, it then means that we have to tread with caution. Even when people are appointed in that particular order, they need to inform the board in good time, on a good day, and board must give approval for them to be able to function in the capacity other than the one for which they are employed to do.
Yeah, because I was going to come to that, because
Yes.
he said they have to be very careful.
Yes.
Now, I'm thinking, what will be the yardstick to measure what is repugnant or will be detrimental to their responsibility in this particular company where they are executive directors?
Okay. Very well. What is repugnant there is if the organization that is going to be appointed as non-executive director, if they are in the line of the same business.
Okay.
For instance, if you are a sugar manufacturer, it will be totally detrimental to have you as a non-executive director in another company that sugar is being produced. So that has to be washed. But if it is that what they are doing in that organization is, for instance, a courier company, of course that is allowed. But if it is the same thing, then you have to look at it. You have to be bothered about the inconsistencies of values, and also you have to be bothered about the issue of conflict of interest, which is very, very key to corporate governance. And we corporate governance professionals, we are so bothered about the issue that relates to corporate governance vis-a-vis conflict of interest. We are always bothered about this, and we are very careful in that particular order.
All right. Now, what is the rationale behind the provision of the code that an executive director should not be a member of the committees responsible for remuneration, audit, or nomination and governance?
Of course, you cannot be a judge in your own case. Of course, they are going to adjudicate over your case. You cannot be the same judge there. For instance, I was discussing with a senator. I met him at the airport. I was discussing with him, and I said that the salary of the the legislators in Nigeria is outrageous, that it has to be reduced, that we have to do something about that we are going to write, and so on. And we are asking some of the senators to support us in this direction. Do you know what the man said? The man said that how can you expect Turkey to support Christmas? That was what he said to me at the airport, and so on. So I'm saying this to say that it is not possible for you to be the judge and to be as a matter of fact, the root of corporate governance, I've not heard it said, but I know that the root of corporate governance is according to Montesquieu, who said that every issue should be something should be looked out for. That is let me just put it in a way that we understand. Checks and balance. Okay. Checks and balance. If there is no check and balance, then there is going to be a problem. So therefore, somebody that we are going to discuss his salary and so on should not be part of the people that will discuss it. And that makes way for checks and balance, that the power should not be fused in one hand and so on. So there should be separated powers to look into issues and so on, and that brings us to the issue of accountability, so which is very important. Yes.
Now, would you describe the code's provisions in relation to executive directors as conforming to the global best practices?
Yes, I think the code that we have now, a lot of work has actually gone into it, and there was a time we were being invited for public hearing on it. We had a series of public hearing on it, which we attended, and of course, it actually looks into our continental collaborators, our continental competitors, and global collaborators as well. We see what they are doing in their codes and so on, and everything is put together, and a lot of work actually came into provision of this code, and they look at so many areas that could actually bring some sort of ambiguities and so on, and it was sorted out before it was finally approved for it to be signed as a code of corporate governance for the nation. So it is, I mean, to the best of my knowledge, the code that we have now can stand at par with any codes all over the world.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mosaku-Johnson. Mr. Ketefe, does the Institute have any training program on the role of executive directors?
Thank you very much, Umi. The training department of the Institute, I have to say, has already acquired a reputation for providing top-notch training on diverse topics on corporate governance, including the one at hand, which is the role of the executive directors as manager of corporate business. This training is of two folds. The first is the periodic training that the department organizes from time to time and invite people to attend. The second one is the specialized training that is organized for specific companies and organizations that request for it. So we have been providing excellent services on these two fronts. And let me use this opportunity to invite organizations, firms, and businesses to take advantage of this service to build the capacities of their directors. Thank you so much.
All right, for as many that want to also be part, what's the Institute's website or phone numbers that they can, get information from?
Thank you very much. Any kind of information that is required maybe concerning how to become members of the institute or to gain insight into our various training activities, you can visit our website, www.icsan.org. So you can also call us anytime on all the phone numbers that are provided on the website.
Okay.
Lastly, I will also want to talk briefly on our ICSAN graduate internship scheme. It's a kind of pledging program that Institute conceived as a platform to give fresh graduates of the Institute the opportunity to acquire hands-on experience on corporate governance. So, time will not permit me to really give you full details. Maybe next week I'll give you full details on this, but the application form is available in the download section of the Institute website, and you can get more information on this program, this scheme, on the Institute website. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you.
Day.
Thank you so much. Thank you to our guests this morning, Dr. Olufemi Abayomi, Mosaku-Johnson, ACIS, Registrar, CEO, Association of Corporate Governance Professionals of Nigeria. It's wonderful having you on the program,
Most
sir.
grateful for having me. Thank you.
All right. And also Mr. Kayode Ketefe, FCIS, Head of Research, ICSAN.
It's always my pleasure.
All right, the program again returns next week, Wednesday, 10:15 a.m. right here on Equator 9.7 FM. I am Funmi Omoburiwo.
The world is constantly evolving into a knowledge-based economy where skills and competencies constitutes the lifeblood of public and corporate governance. You therefore need to empower yourself to fit into this new world by gaining basic knowledge and improving your skill set in the governance-focused disciplines.